chicks, double shot, no chaser. Two real 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 chicks, double shot, no chaser.
What's good? Welcome back to Two Real Chicks. Today, y'all, we're gonna talk about the show Black
We
Cake
got
on
a
Hulu.
show. We before we begin into it, y'all. It's been a minute since we even did a stream on this channel, but we figured this stream would be perfect, or the what we're about to talk about would be perfect to do a stream on, because this show Black Cake has had us hooked, like really hooked for a minute now. Like, listen, I can't wait to get into it with y'all because we got so many thoughts.
Yeah, this is gonna be pretty good. So I heard about Black Cake through Leah, and I hadn't heard nothing about it. Went on TikTok, did my TikTok Google schmoogle. I was hooked, and we was 3 episodes in, like 3 solid.
I was trying to I kept trying to watch it on my TV for whatever reason, but like it was not trying to let me, so I had to go and watch it on my iPad. I've been seeing it all over TikTok. I've been seeing people talk about it, and I was like, let me see what's to this show. Let me just watch it. So I started watching it, and I was like, this shit is good. Like, this is really, really good. And then I told Aisha about it. I was like, have you seen this show called Black Cake? Have you heard of it? Do you know what it's about? And she was like, no, I ain't never watched it. And by the time we had started watching, like she said, I think it was like 3 episodes or something like that. So I'm like, you should watch it and we could talk about it. And every week that we watch this goddamn show, we had something to talk about. And it got on our nerves.
Elite.
It got on our nerves because they would always leave us at a cliffhanger. And it's just like, bro. But before we get into our thoughts, we got a video to show y'all that tells us, like, that'll tell y'all what it's about in the event that y'all have not watched it. So,
hold on, here I go.
Not enough people are talking about Black Cake. It is one of the most enjoyable family dramas I have watched in so long, probably since This Is Us. If you enjoy shows that follow multiple timelines, this one is for you. Before I get too much into what the show's about, which I will do with minor spoilers, you should know it's based on a novel, a New York Times bestseller by Charmaine Wilkerson. At this moment in time, there are 6 episodes. We're going to get 8 total, but if you can catch up, I would do it. The drama is crazy. Another thing I want to mention real quick is that acting is giving on this show. I don't often come across shows where I enjoy the entire cast so much. All of these actors, their characters have very different stories that are tragically beautiful. They're done and written so well, and it's just chef's kiss. As I mentioned prior, minor spoilers, I will not be talking about anything past episode 1. So the series opens up with Eleanor Bennett. We quickly find out that Eleanor has been diagnosed with cancer, and sadly, this is a battle that she ends up losing. After her passing, we find out that she wants to come clean to her 2 kids, Byron and Benny. She leaves behind a series of tapes for her lawyer to play to them. Then, all hell breaks loose because we find out her real name isn't even Eleanor, it is Covey. Now we get our first timeline hop to when Covey is 16 years old. We find out that her mother no longer lives with her, and she is with her father. He is a very problematic gambler, which I believe is why the mother left to begin with. However, Covey loves her father very much and has a lot of hope and faith in him. During this time, we also witness how much Covey loves to swim. She dreams of being a professional swimmer, along with her best friend Bunny, and she's also crushing on a guy named Gibbs. Fast forward a little bit, and we find out that Covey's dad has lost a bit too much money gambling. So his shop is now in trouble, and he goes to a violent loan shark named Little Man. One thing leads to another, and he can't afford to pay Little Man back. The Little Man tells him, you know what, I've had my eye on Covey. If you allow me to marry her, we'll squash this whole thing, and we're straight. And guess what? He does it. Did I mention that Little Man is a grown-ass man and Covey was only 16? Covey loves her father so much that she agrees to the wedding, even though she is terrified and highly upset. She's hoping that he will find a way to put a stop to it, but he doesn't. They go on, get married, and then the day of their wedding, little man, plot twist, drops dead. Covey is very afraid, thinking that people will think she did this because she never wanted to get married to begin with, so due to the fear, she runs away. The twists and turns that this girl's life takes after running away are absolutely bonkers. Did I mention all of this goes down during episode 1? It is nuts. I won't say more as to not spoil it, but I will tell you that we have 3 timelines. We have Covey's timeline when she's 16. We have Eleanor Bennett's timeline, which is when she's still alive and her kids are pretty much grown ups, I would say in their 20s to 30s. And then we have the timeline after she has passed, and we get to see how everything that she says on these tapes affects her kids' lives. I'm pretty sure I said this already, but it is a phenomenal show. If you're into family dramas, and even if you're not, I would give this one a shot for sure. If you're watching it, if you have thoughts, comments, anything, drop it below. And make sure you follow along for more cool reviews and other fun.
Child.
I was hooked.
Let me tell you something. I have watched a lot of shows this year. I've watched a lot of them, and Black cinema has really been giving. You know what I'm saying? And since the writer's strike, there's been a lot of shows on the chopping block, right? But they've managed to keep us entertained. When I watched this show, I was like, I couldn't wait for the next episode. I had contemplated reading the book, but I was like, I don't feel like the book could do me any justice now because I've already watched the show. And that's just episode 1. We're going to get into a lot of the thoughts that we had about the show since it's over. So if you have not watched the show, don't watch this stream because there are going to be some spoilers in here. I can already tell you that right now. We're going to spoil it for you a little bit. Listen, I have so many thoughts. There are so many topics that this show touches on. It's insane.
I wasn't ready for the amount of emotions the show had literally gave me.
Yo.
From episode 1, I'm the type of person that I need to be hooked episode 1. At least the first 10 minutes. This did it. And it did it every single episode. Okay, let's get into it. Episode 1. The wedding. Honey. So the dad, I don't like him. But I feel like he, as a father, had no other choice. In his head, this was the only option. And it was and to me, it makes me step back and be like, okay, what if one day you have to make a really hard decision for your children? I don't know if I can make this decision, but the mom. Let's start the mom.
Let's just talk about Covey in general, okay? Because her whole story. So you find out in the show as you watch that her mom ended up leaving her when she was younger. Obviously, she had plans to come back, but when you are young, you don't understand your parents' decisions for real until you are put in a situation where you had to make the same choices that they made. You know what I'm saying? So with her mother being absent, things that she had to learn as far as being a woman, she had to learn from her godmother. Not quite the same, but still, it's close. It was as close as she got to a mother figure. And so her dad had a huge, I guess you'd say, gambling problem.
Oh, it definitely was.
Yeah. And he lost, like she said in the clip, he lost that bet or whatever. And so as collateral, he used his daughter to kind of even the score. But you did it with one of the biggest loan sharks in Jamaica, or at least in your area.
In that town.
And it's they were counting on her crush to come in there and kind of save the day a little bit. They were counting on him to figure out a way to get her out of it. And when you watch the show, you will see it was the women that had to come up with it. And I just want to say this: if you ain't got a bunny in your life or in your circle, you need to
reevaluate.
You need to reevaluate. Do you hear me? That girl literally was like, okay, since you can't figure out what the fuck to do, I got you. I know what I'm gonna do. I know how to fix it.
I feel like this show shows you that the family that you have, like biologically, yeah, it can mean something, but the family that you build over time, like through your friends, mutuals, that might just trump the real blood.
Do
Like,
you hear me?
honey, Gibbs, I'm not mad at him for leaving, right? Because the
No.
night of the wedding, everybody kind of dispersed, right? Like everyone just was gone. And I understand him not staying. And they, I think they mentioned in the show that he stayed around for a little bit to see if she's gonna come back. She never came back, obviously,
Yeah.
because what we about to tell y'all, like, she never came back. But it was all out of safety, but it was still an exit plan for her. So little man dying, it had to happen. And throughout the whole series, we had to figure out who did it. That was the big mystery at 1st. Who killed little man? We ain't gonna
I
say
thought
it
it
right
was
now.
Pearl for the longest
it was
time.
Pearl
I thought it was
too.
Pearl.
They had you at episode 6. They was really hinting it was Pearl. It was not Pearl. Spoiler,
Clearly.
but it was not Pearl.
And then
so her
like
get into when she met Eleanor. Let's get into that one.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. So after she runs away, she was still Coventina, but she was Coventina Brown. She wasn't whatever
she was her
her
mom's
last
maiden name.
Yeah, whatever her last name was before, she wasn't that anymore. And she was a suspect in her husband's murder, I guess you would say. And she ends up going to London, I believe it was the first time around, and she goes into this like boarding house and meets this woman named Eleanor. And Eleanor was
a nurse student,
but she didn't want to be that. She wanted to be a biology student or something like that. So she persuades her to like go to Scotland and like, hey, go to college and go study biology, go study what you really want to study. And on the way there, they get into a terrible train crash. And Eleanor dies, but so does Coventina. Eleanor had to die in order for Coventina to assume a different identity. That it was unfortunate, but it kind of worked out. I hate to say that, but it worked out for Covey's favor because she was able to live her life, but under a whole other pseudonym, a name that wasn't even hers. So
I think that part of her life was, I guess, in a way, needed because, like, she had to leave it away from her. Well, she had to leave it away. Well, back. The echo was killing me. She had to leave that side of her life behind her because that was the only way she can go forward. And it's fucked up.
It really is. And then, like, her getting into the boarding house that she was in Scotland, she had to, try to find work and stuff like that. And she goes to work for this textile accounting something.
Yeah, I don't even know what they did.
And the women there were bitches to her. We just gonna call a spade a spade. They were bitches, especially the one woman. There's a way.
That's Benji.
There's a way that she could have.
Okay.
All right.
Benji really wanted to shake it off.
He just want to be in the show. Right. There's a way that she could have warned Covey about their bosses without being an asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a different way you could have done that. And then obviously with Covey being an immigrant woman, who's going to believe her if she goes and reports any type of wrongdoing or anything like, because first of all, you're not even who you say you are.
Yeah.
So she ends up getting sexually assaulted because the boss finds out that she's lying about her whole story. And
then she was a black woman during this time.
Yeah, this is and to set the scene too. It takes place in like the 50s and the 60s in London. So you have to remember that London is like the UK and Europe. It mirrors the US in so many ways. So think of it as like she's a black woman in the
South.
UK. Yeah, think her being a black woman in the UK is equivalent to her being a black woman in the South.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot of options, but the thing is, she's an immigrant as well. So, like, you are reporting an assault to the police. They're not going to believe you because you're automatically, first of all, you're not who you say you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're not Eleanor, whatever that, I forget what her last name was, but you're not Eleanor. You're Coventina.
Mm-hmm.
And that could have led to her being arrested, like all the different things, right? So it's just like, well, I'm just gonna go back to what I know. She went back to what she knew. But in that time, well, no, I ain't gonna drop that bomb yet. Goes back to London, and she meets Gibbs, and they go off into the sunset.
No. I think we got to talk about the pregnancy. She did get pregnant.
Yeah, I was trying to wait on that part.
We're spoiling things now already. But she got pregnant. And then when she met Gibbs, it was a year after everything had happened.
Yeah.
So we'll get back into the daughter thing in a second, but
she did get pregnant. And when she met him, she ended up meeting him again. She was trying to kill herself, honestly. She was in a real dark place, which is understandable. Because, like, again, there's so much to unpack. She's in a dark place. So it's like, bro, I just would rather take myself out of here and just be done with it. But he ends up saving her. I mean, they were at a protest. So they get married and they move to the U.S. and then they have their 2 children that you see in the show, Byron and Benny. And in the first episode, you hear her talking, like, in the recordings, and that's where you, like she said in the clip, the first episode, you hear her kind of setting the scene. Hey, this is who I actually am. This is my life. Blah blah blah. I think it's about the 3rd or 4th episode you find out that she had a daughter and that they had a
knew
3rd
who she was.
Sibling. Yes, and she had kept up with her. And the daughter ends up being like a world-renowned chef.
That's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to me.
Yeah, because it's like
she was living life as a white woman,
but didn't even know, didn't know that she was actually black, which was crazy. And I think her adoptive parents knew very well what they were doing. Because if they had told her that she was a black woman, I think they knew. And see, when you do shit like that as a white parent, and you have a child that could pass for white, when you hide their identity from them, that means you are very well aware of what people that look like them go through. For real, you are very well aware of what black people in that country at that time, what they were going through. You knew about it. And so you were like, to save her from that, I'm just going to act like she's white and that she's Italian. Whole time you're Jamaican, Chinese, and Irish.
Right. So as we are learning all of this about Covey, we're getting back into the current day where Benny and Bunny are going through it, honey. We find out, did I say it right now? Byron. Benny and Byron. Byron is a... what is he, a scientist?
He's a scientist at some type of...
I don't even know what they do.
Marine something? I can't remember what he did, but I know he was a scientist.
Aqua biology or something like that. It got to do with the sea. It got something to do with the sea.
It's like marine biology or something like that, or aquatics.
And he's the only black person that's in his company. And honey, they really dog him out. They have conferences. And when it's time to have the token black person, they have been using Byron. And we get to see throughout the series, him find himself and really stand up for himself and realize that y'all not going to keep treating me like the token black dude. And we'll talk about that a little bit in a second. But his sister is gay. And we see the dynamics of a immigrant family who is wanting their child to be heterosexual, but not really necessarily saying, be straight, be straight, be straight. They're not saying that. It's just older, typical black immigrant. Whatever you thought about a black immigrant parent, chances are Covey and Gibbs was that.
Yeah.
And it was hard on both of their kids. But I think it was out of love. But I feel like being a kid who came from a parent who, wanted them to be all these things, but it's like, you just won't accept me for doing what I do. So I think the daughter, what's her name, Benny, she does art. She knows how to cook, and she's in between jobs. She dropped out of college, and the dad is just like, why can't you just pick something? Pick something now, because you're gonna get older, you're gonna get broke, you're gonna get poor, and you're gonna always need us. That's what Gibbs was saying to her. But so as we're hearing these recordings, Byron and Benny are like, Mom's a liar. It was really Byron. He was not happy with her. Mm-mm.
He was not having that with like, but I just want to go back to them being an immigrant family for a second. When you come over here to America or to a country with opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
You are not over here to bullshit around. That's why a lot of these people, a lot of the immigrants that come over here, they are so successful because they be on their shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, if you are a person of an immigrant, if you are like a part of an immigrant family or you were raised by immigrant parents, they want stability.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to have stability, and the arts do not pay. That is not a stable job. That is not something that you can depend on. So when he was pressuring her, hey, like, you need to find something that is going to pay your bills. You can do your art on the side, but that is, you know what I'm saying? And immigrant families, like immigrant parents, it takes them a minute to come around to the idea of you actually being successful in something. So in a way, you damn near got to be a little bit of a rebel
Yeah.
and be like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to do a 9-to-5. I don't want to work in science, or I don't want to work in marketing or whatever. I want to do my art. I want to be a chef. You know what I'm saying? And they don't really start to see it or, really accept it, I feel like, until you have gained some type of success of some sort. So I feel like yes, it was out of love, but then also too, like, I feel like religiously there was a reason why they didn't want her to be gay, or they weren't accepting of it. And Eleanor talks about that in her recordings when she mentions that her friend Bunny had interest in her, and she was like, hey, you can't say that, you can't talk about that. And it's just like, she didn't realize at the time, with her being as young as she was, that she was telling her to hide herself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But she also understood that, like, at that time, that wasn't right. That's not what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We're women. We're not allowed to feel like that.
Yeah.
So there's so many things, bro, that I want to talk about with this show, but I don't want to like jump all over the place.
Okay, let's pick up then with Benny. She stopped talking to the family 8 years ago. So that's kind of where we pick up with everything. Benny stopped talking to them because they were like, okay, well, if you want to sit here and tell me I have to pick something, I need to figure things out now. She was like, no, I'm going to leave. I'm going to walk away. She was gone for 8 years. And in that midst of that time, I think their dad had passed away. Their mom got sick. I think she ended up drowning almost. Found out that she was going to pass away because of the cancer. And then that's kind of where we pick up things with the tapes. Like, Benny
that's where it starts.
Yeah. So
that's all within
that was in episode 2. 1 to 2.
That's in episode 1 starts off showing I think it shows like maybe younger Covey on the beach or something like that, or maybe older Covey as an older woman on the beach or something like that. She has some type of accident. The doctors have to call her son in, and her son finds out that she has cancer because she didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And he tries to call his sister, but his sister wasn't answering the phone. And his sister doesn't find out anything until she comes home and finds out that her mom died. So in episode 1, you get the recording. You get the very first recording, and you get like episode 1 through 2 is her life as a young woman trying to figure things out. And this is before she met Gibbs, before her kids were born, all this stuff. That's episode 1 and 2. And then episode like 3 and 4, you get life with Gibbs.
Yeah.
You get the children being born. You get what else? You get like you start to see the dynamic between like the more of the storylines of Benny and Byron. You get to understand what happened between Benny and her parents and why she left in the first place.
So we had found out that Benny was in a relationship with a man named Steve. I don't like Steve. No one likes Steve.
Well, before Steve even came into the picture, you saw her in a relationship with a girl.
Oh, with the woman.
It was Thanksgiving, and she came to dinner, and you seen how that all like imploded. It just it blew up, right? In the midst of her being gone for those 8 years, she ended up meeting Steve, and Steve was,
I think he was abusive. Her boss, right?
Yeah, I think he was her boss first. He was like a talent scout, I would say, is what he did. And then they started dating. They dated for like 6 years. And he was abusive towards her. So much so that she missed her father's funeral.
She came, but she didn't go in.
Yeah, she basically missed it. Yeah. She didn't go in. She missed it because her eye was blackened. But she still stayed. She still stayed, as most, abuse victims do. So you get to see that whole dynamic in the episode. And then you also get to see Byron. This is where also in episodes 3 and 4, this is where you get to see Byron's internal struggle with being skipped over. He was being considered for a position at his job where he worked at. It was between him and another man. And they gave it to the white man.
Yep. Only because of that. Because he's white.
And his longtime girlfriend, his longtime partner was like, you're going to let them skip over you for a position and you're not going to say anything about it? Like, I don't just want to be in love with you. I want to have respect for you too. And I don't have that. I cannot respect you because you literally let them play in your face. Like, in so many words.
Wanted to shake Byron.
Bro.
I wanted to shake
But listen, I felt her on that because
I agree.
If I'm going to be with any man, first of all, where your backbone at?
Yeah.
Where's your backbone? You're probably just as qualified or more qualified than that person was. They knew they weren't going to give it to you in the first place. So, like, what was the reason for y'all even having us go up against each other when your mind was already made? Number one. Yeah. Number two, why have you been allowing these people to play in your face all these years? You trying to be the model employee. You know what I'm saying? And like,
let me say what they said to him at that meeting, right? So they were like, you handle a lot of the outreach stuff, all the things outside the office. We love what you do out there, but it's about the day to day. I was ready to punch my goddamn laptop.
Bro, I was like, what the fuck does that even mean?
No, for real. What does that mean?
That pissed me off so bad, bro, because to me, what you do outside the office counts way more than the day to day. Because what he was doing outside that office is what got y'all pressed.
Yep.
That's what got folks looking at y'all. That's what got people, interested in that goddamn conference that y'all was putting on. Yep. And then they had, we're going to do a diversity conference. And so we just thought that you'd be a great fit for it, Why? Because I'm black? Because I'm a
yes man. Because of that. Like,
he was like, yeah, that's cool. That's all right. I'll do it.
But he's in the midst of this, his mama died. So he's battling the fresh death of his mother. And then this bullshit? Girl.
Yeah. But you know what? In episode 5 or 6, I was like, thank you.
I was already kissing.
Thank you, sir. Because goddamn, that's what I needed from you. Because if you let these people do that to you, if you let them, people will walk all over you. And I feel like that is the struggle with all Black people. is that we're always told to be grateful.
Yeah.
And we are never allowed to go after what we want, and we're never allowed to feel a certain type of way when we feel like we've been skipped over. And I feel like, and it also, in one of the episodes, it shows like Byron as a young boy.
Oh yeah.
And how his upbringing kind of, I guess, set him up for how he handled that specific situation. Because while his mom may have allowed him to, like, have his emotions and express them, it's almost as if they didn't tell him that it's okay for you to express your disdain for being skipped over. It's okay for you to not be happy about that. You know what I'm saying? I felt like they didn't really express that it's okay for you to feel things.
I think to add some nuance to this, his dad, Gibbs, was an activist lawyer, I believe.
Yeah.
So it was like his dad telling him, like, as a black man, his mom telling him as a black man, like, you have to do this like this. The black conversation that we have with our children, we've had as black people, like, you can't do this because behind a certain time, because the police gonna think it's you. You can't hang out like this. You can't wear this. Like, they were having that conversation with him, and he was just like bawling. And it was one of those things where, as someone who grew up as a black kid, we had that talk before. We've seen what that talk can do to people. And he took that, bottled it up, and he said, you know what? I'm going to please them to the best of my ability. And then walked himself into a career where he's like one of one in the building. And that fucked him up.
And that's what I mean. It's like they told him, do all these things. Be the model, black person. But that backfired, and that blew up in his face, because he was a model black person for years. He probably trained that white man and taught that man everything he knew. And now that's his boss. Oh, they would have had to kiss my ass that day.
For real.
They would have had to kiss my ass. Every inch of it that day. Because what you mean? What you talking about? So he was stepping into his own. But the part that pissed me off, it was like towards the end where they came back around, where the partner came back around. It was like, I'm pregnant.
We're gonna get there.
And I don't even know.
Let's talk about Covey being at this like house for pregnant young women who were intentionally going to be giving their child for adoption. So this is like kind of like the turning point of the series. Covey, for a whole year, her whole pregnancy, basically, she was at this house with these other young girls who signed off their rights to their child day one of being in the building. I think it's kind of like a church. And
it was a convent. They were nuns.
And when I say, I was so angry during these episodes, like, you're seeing these young women, a lot of them trying to emotionally detach themselves from the baby. But Covey's like, no. I'm gonna try. But then as the baby was growing, the baby was born, she realized, I don't want to give up my child. I don't think that's what I want. But she had a nun telling her, you can't take care of this baby. What are you gonna do with 2 diapers and a bottle? How are you gonna feed the baby? You and the baby will die. And she's like, go to sleep. Covey shouldn't have went to sleep. She wouldn't have went to sleep. Covey wakes up the next day. They're literally snatching her baby from her bosom, essentially. And that's how we found out about the daughter. The daughter, in the tapes, they said, I want you to listen to this next tape with your sister. You have a sister. And that's how we found out about, is her name Mabel?
That's how we found out about Mabel Matilda Martin.
Yeah, Mabel.
Mabel Matilda Martin. We're gonna talk about her too in a second, because she's got a story. But to talk about Covey in this house real quick. Covey at first was not trying to have this baby. She was not. It was not something that she had planned. This man had raped her.
Yeah.
She was young. She like all the other women was trying to detach herself from like being she was trying to detach herself emotionally from this baby. This was not hers. But like when the baby came, what really turned the tide was she fell down them steps carrying laundry.
Mm-hmm.
And she got to hear that baby's heartbeat. And it was one of them things where it was like,
It
oh,
became real.
it would, yeah, it really like it really, there's a word I'm trying to look for and I don't know what it is, but it really like it did something to her.
Mm-hmm.
It really made it feel real for her. And it was like, oh my God. And so like one of the girls that she met there, she was like, oh, I'm one of the lucky ones. Me and my boyfriend, we're gonna run away and we're gonna get married and da, 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 da. He doesn't want it anymore. Yeah, I know.
He flipped motherfucking script.
He flipped the
Quick.
script on that ass so fast. He was like, "Yeah, I ain't trying to do that." I feel like her parents might have had something to do with it.
I do too.
That's
I
just
do.
me though.
Yeah.
But she had got detached from her baby because she was like, "It's not my baby. It's just baby number 3." And I was like, "Damn,
Yours may be 4, 5, or
5 or
maybe
6, bitch." First of all, don't try to push that off on me because you ain't want your ugly ashy ass kid.
Right.
Like, but she was trying to detach and she didn't want to feed the baby or anything like that. And Cubby grew attached. Like, you can't expect for these, and that's what they fucked up at too.
Yeah.
You can't expect to have these women have their babies latch on and them not catch some type of feelings. When Cubby found out that's what they were doing to the babies, she was like, let me see if I can get the fuck up out of here.
Yeah.
But her escape wasn't planned as well as this should have been. And so she was like, I want to keep my baby and I want to do this. Oh, we'll talk about it in the morning. Morning rolls around and then he gave her baby away. That black lady was all skin folk and kinfolk.
No.
I told them to let them keep the name Matilda, and they're gonna use it as a middle name. So a piece of you will always be with her. Bitch, no, I want all of them to be. I told your little anyway. I told you I wanted to keep my baby. And so while she agreed at first to keep her baby, to give her away, she ultimately, after she made that choice, she ultimately couldn't reverse it. And I think that's what was crazy. The crazy part. I had so many theories about that. I thought that like maybe the guy, he knew somebody and he set that up.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Like I thought that was one of the things that he might have did, or I had so many different theories because I'm like, at this point, anything is possible with this goddamn show. So many twists and turns and surprises.
Everything was set up. Every time we had something big that happened, he was like, "What the fuck? Like how did we get here?"
Like when she dropped that bomb about her having another child. Like when did you have what time?
Yeah.
The fuck? Like, what are you talking about? And then now let's talk about Mabel Matilda Martin, because
Mabel,
the irony in her story, maybe it wasn't much of a coincidence at all, but like Mabel is a world-renowned chef, and
I think she does a lot of different culture styles.
Yeah, like, she's very well traveled, but she got herself in some shit because she tried to say that recipes don't belong to just one group of people. Or something like that. And the girl that was sitting on the panel was like, actually, yes, they do. It's really easy for somebody that looks like you to come in and say that, because y'all are known for erasing the history behind a lot of the stuff that y'all do and a lot of stuff that y'all partake in and try to claim it as your own.
She got Twitter dragged.
Yeah. And so to find out that you're not a colonizer, but you are a part of the colonized. Like, what?
First of all, it was her face. When that woman said that to her, Mabel looked at her like, "Bitch, how dare you?" But then finding out like hours later, "Oh no, but you're black." And her trying to wrap her head around like, who is this woman? I don't care that she's dead. What are y'all saying to me on this phone? Like,
The woman say, I don't want nothing from the estate. Y'all can do what y'all want to do with it. I'm white. I'm adopted.
right.
I don't know what you talk about, sir. Like, but think about it though. Like, come on now, be for real.
Mm-hmm.
That is a normal reaction.
Yeah.
For anybody. Motherfucker call me and tell me right now, hey, the family that you've been with for 26 years, that's not your family. Yes, it is.
Right.
That's my mama, and the man that I've been knowing as my daddy is my dad. What are you talking about? No,
Yeah.
you're adopted. They stole you. What? Like, I'm gonna call you crazy and tell you to get the fuck off my phone and kiss my ass, because what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? I'm crazy. My toes are cold. Lord have mercy. What do you mean I'm crazy? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So her reaction to that is very much normal. It's normal and it's understandable, because I would have reacted the exact same way. I just think that it's quite ironic that during the controversy of her talking of food, and people talking about her saying that no one recipe belongs to one specific group, she finds that out. That's crazy.
It just makes me get going. I don't know why. I think knowing the show now, like how it ended, it just makes me chuckle. She was holding on strong. So, Matilda, is it Mabel?
Mabel Matilda. We're going to call her Mabel Matilda. Shit.
Mabel has a 16-year-old son named Gio. And when I say, listen to me. The whole thing about her ex-husband passing away, her son not knowing certain secrets, I was just like, what the fuck? What the fuck? The whole, first of all, you're never going to get to the end and find out, because we don't even know.
Yeah.
It pissed me off. But the parents pissed me off too, once she confronted them and was like, Mom, how was I born? Oh, well, you were such a beautiful baby. Dark eyes, dark hair. Bitch, I gave
told me
you
that
a
I was
space
Italian
to tell me the truth. And you still lied.
And like I said, they knew what was going on with Black people during that time, because why would you not want to tell her that she's Black? Like, that's a whole identity that she's missing out on.
Yep.
That's a whole, like, history. There's a whole culture there that she did not get to experience.
Yep.
Because you didn't tell her that. Whole time this woman around here cooking Caribbean food and probably wondering, like, damn, I'm fucking this shit up. I don't know why. And you're
my
Caribbean.
elbow is elbowing in this motherfucker.
Man, do you hear me? The curry is currying. And you're Caribbean. You're Jamaican, to be exact.
Yep.
So you wondering why your beef patties is coming out bomb as fuck. That's because you're Jamaican. Like, what? Like, come on now.
This show covered so many layers that you didn't even know a show could cover. Like, just that alone, like us talking about Mabel alone, that's the whole series. Hey, y'all, we live, and my dog and my best friend's dog is doing too damn much. Come here.
I think that it covers so many different things. I feel like there's a lot that we haven't really touched on, that we haven't talked about. For real. We're trying to go in order, but we're all over the place at the same time.
If y'all want to watch it.
if you're going, I'm telling you, just watch the show. But like, there are so many different things that it touches on. First of all, race is a big one, obviously, because you have a woman who's passing as white, who can pass as white and did pass as white for a long time. And you have parents who adopted a Black child and failed to disclose that to her. Then she grows up and probably has an affliction or some type of affection for a Black man. And he passes away, and his parents don't want her to come to the funeral.
Yep.
I feel like her parents might have something to do with that. Hopefully they talk about that in season 2. We better just know it's gonna be a season 2. We know it. Then you got these other two. And then the daughter. Let's talk. We gotta talk about this too with Benny. Benny, when she found that out, had a whole other identity crisis or a whole other like I don't want to say vendetta, but maybe resentment towards her mom, because it's like, that's who you wanted me to be. You wanted me to be her.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted me to be that daughter. And that's why you were so hard on me. That's why I couldn't be who I truly was. That's why I couldn't be the artist. That's why I couldn't be in my same sex relationship. That's why I couldn't really go out and explore and really figure out what I wanted. You wanted me to be Mabel, and I wasn't Mabel.
And then the reason why she wanted this, right, y'all? Because I don't think we said it. Covey had hired a PI, a private investigator, years prior, and she had been tracking her daughter through like TV. She would watch on TV, and they were like, Benny and Byron, when they found out, they were like, well, maybe, Mom, we just thought she just liked this, this white woman who cooked. We just thought that.
Yeah.
It was their sister. They
Same
had been
thing they thought about Bunny.
Sister. Yeah. They've been seeing their sister for years and never knew.
Never even knew.
Mannerisms are just like their moms. So they're just like, oh, this is just some white woman. Like, all right, she can cook her ass off. A Scottish white woman.
Shit.
Jokes on y'all. But
whole time, that's your long lost sister. That's fucked up. It's funny, but it ain't. Because family secrets, a whole other thing that they talk about. When you keep shit like this from your kids, it's like, I already got to grieve you not being here anymore. I can't come to you and ask you these questions, like questions that I have. And now I'm having to go on a fucking goose hunt, really trying to piece together a story. You know what I'm saying? Trying to unlearn what I've been told and learn something else. Everything, the life that I lived, or the life that you have created for yourself, is a lie. It's built on a lie.
Yep.
So now I'm like, first of all, you're not even the person that you said you was.
Yep. So Byron.
And her husband didn't even know.
No, Gibbs didn't know.
That's the killer part of
poor
it.
Gibbs.
The husband didn't even know.
He didn't.
He had no idea that a man had taken advantage of her in Scotland, and because of that, she had gotten pregnant. No idea.
Nope. When I say her secrets, she took them to the grave until she's like, nah, I should probably tell somebody.
And I think the daughter, I think Mabel is like Covey 2.0. She is every bit of that. I just get them vibes from her.
Yeah. Because she got a lot of secrets. These dogs. She got a lot of secrets that she's holding from her child. And as she's going through this, she's realizing, maybe I need to tell Gio. Maybe I need to tell. I can't mute myself. Hold on. Keep talking, Leah. I'm about to mute myself.
It's one of those things where everybody comes to the realization that they need to release their secrets, or their shadow spirit, I think is what it's called. If you're Caribbean, if you're Jamaican, then you know that when a person dies, they hold something called the 9 night, which is like, for the people who don't know, on the 9th night after the person has died, you release their shadow spirit. So you go and you'll like have a feast or a big dinner or whatever. And then later on that night, you'll start a fire, and then you'll burn tokens of the deceased in the fire to kind of like let them, to kind of let their shadow spirit go. Well, everybody kind of realized that they were holding on to a lot of secrets. And also let me go back real quick. The purpose of doing the 9th night, the 9 night, and releasing the shadow spirit is so that bad luck won't come to the living of the deceased, the living relatives of the deceased. If I'm wrong, and it's some Caribbean people that come across this live and y'all watch it, let me know, correct me. But from my understanding,
I think it's called a guppy.
That's what they. Yeah, the shadow spirit is a guppy, if I'm not mistaken. But the tradition, or what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but y'all know what I'm talking about. What they do is called the 9 night, where they burn the tokens and they, just kind of release that. That's what I don't know if you call it a ceremony, But yeah,
So I was like, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like there was another word, but that's what they do. And so everybody kind of comes to the realization that they have secrets. That's where we find out in the last episode who the killer is.
Bum, 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 bum.
If we had some sound effects, that would have ate.
It really had.
But that's where we find out where the killer or who the killer is. We find out that Bunny is a motherfucking real one. We find out that she went to Gibbs and asked Gibbs to figure out a way to get Covey out of this. And he tried. Poor Gibbs, he tried, but he couldn't. He couldn't figure it out. Pearl had made a concoction. Like she had something figured out.
Can I tell a Leaf story?
No.
I have to. If you about to say that, I have to say the Leaf story. Okay. So the day that Covey was born, her mother was like in the garden and she had this leaf. And she thought it was like mint or something, like something, nice you could smell. But Pearl, her best friend, walked up and was like, because mind you, she's in labor at this point. She's like, oh no, that's poisonous. The like actual juices in there are poisonous. And that's what she was breaking up, chopping up inside the black cake on wedding day to kill little man. So.
But the plan was they were going to give them a drink.
Mm-hmm.
She was going to give him a drink with poison in it. They were going to send it to the honeymoon suite.
Mm-hmm.
Bunny said that's too long.
Yep.
That's too long. And too much. That's too much room for error. We need to come up with something else, and we need to come up with something else fast. So she had a vial, and it must have been the juices that were in that leaf. It had to be.
Yeah, well,
but she had a vial or something. Stuck it in her purse, took it, put it in that man's drink, and then swapped out the drink on his table with the poison champagne or whatever it was. That man drunk it and collapsed immediately. Like she put so much in. She put so much in there. She made sure, like she said, "I'm gonna make sure you don't wake up."
The whole vial was in there.
She said, "I'm gonna make sure you don't wake up." And she resented. There's a lot of resentment. You'll notice in this show as it goes on. There's a lot of resentment all around from everybody. There's resentment towards Covey. There's resentment towards exes and partners. There's resentment.
I think we should get into that.
The father, like there's a theme of. There are a lot of different themes in this show. But I noticed that resentment. Now that I'm talking about it and I'm sitting here just thinking about it and analyzing it, I noticed that resentment is one of those things, one of those themes. So Bunny ends up resenting Covey because it's like, I thought she died. I saw the train crash. We heard about it and I thought she had passed away. And to think that she met Gibbs and built a whole life.
Didn't even know. And
been watching me on television as this world-renowned swimmer and didn't try to get in contact with me. And it was like when she listened to her tape, and I want to know what her tape said too.
Bunny kind of hinted at what it said, but she couldn't say it. That's why I know it's going to be a season 2. I just know Hulu ain't going to do me dirty.
But she was like, when she listened to her tape, she understood, like, listen, that would have me getting in contact with you by you being the killer, they probably would have found you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have had the life you had. So everything I did, it was for a reason. You know what I'm saying? It just made more sense. So, but yeah, get you a bunny.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story. Get you a bunny.
Byron and his little girlfriend.
That's pissed me off so bad because both of them pissed me off.
Let's talk about the job though. So they had a conference. The conference they talked about the day he got his demotion or whatever, because it wasn't a promotion. They asked him, would he do this panel? He said yes. Honey, Byron showed his ass in every great way he could show his ass.
Do you hear me? Very eloquently, by the way.
I think that him standing there basically being asked, like, well, I think he got asked, like, what is it like being the only black person in your field or something like that? And he gave it to him. He gave it to him. His new boss, the guy that got the job over him, tried to grab the mic a few times. He's sitting there lockjaw, moving his chin and stuff like, yeah, be mad, be upset, because I'm now confronting the situation at hand. Y'all are racist. I've been y'all token black boy, and it's no more. Y'all not gonna know that. And no more about me. So he got a standing ovation. Mind you, at the beginning of the show, they was loving on Byron, but after this, it kind of blew up. It blew
Baby,
up.
listen,
blew
he
up.
was, if it had happened in real life, viral on Twitter. The question that I think they asked him, it was something like, what example do you want to set for people that look like you in like in your field or something like that? And he said some real shit. Yeah. And a lot of the things that he said, you know what I'm saying, they carry over, because like he said, when they think about the CEOs of their companies, they don't think about a dude that look like me. It does not look like us. We don't occupy that space.
Yeah.
He said a lot in his speech, and I'm like, it really hit home, because for a lot of people, especially when you're in an area, in a field or an industry where you're one of very few people that look like you, it's like you do have to work really, really hard. And the default is always going to be what's in the majority, which is, in his case, white
people. Yep.
You looked over me. You gave this man that job, and now you want me to do a diversity conference? Okay, I see you trying to be funny, but bitch, I'm hilarious though.
Right.
What Cardi B said. You funny, but I'm hilarious though. And now I'm about to make y'all look stupid. I'm about to highlight all of the inequities that are occurring in this industry, and especially in this company.
We missed something. The day before this conference, Byron beat the shit out of Steve.
Fuck that man up so bad, bro.
So that going into that conference, he thought they were going to know about that. We never heard nothing else about that. He beat him up.
Yeah, nothing else at all. I feel like that has something to do with it, and I also think that his what Lynette ended up telling him. Lynette is his partner. What she ended up telling him played a part in it as well, because now and I want to get into that too. When he originally got the call a couple of days after getting passed up for the promotion, the guy had asked him about doing the conference, and he agreed, and they were having a conversation or whatever, and Lynette found out that he agreed to do the conference, and she was just like, you're gonna do it even after they basically passed you over for a job? You're going to do a diversity conference? Like, what do you mean? Like, your dad was literally a civil rights lawyer. Yeah. You should sue these people. And she had said something that, hurt his little feelings or whatever.
Honey, it struck a nerve.
But it was true. It was really true. And I think what really got him was, she was like, I love you, but I want to do more than that. And like I said earlier, I felt that. So I think that had a lot to do with it. But what got me was this ending right here. After the conference, it's been a few days at this point, if I'm not mistaken. The funeral, they meet up at the funeral.
Yeah.
After before the funeral even starts, she didn't want to do it. She did not. Lynette did not want to have the conversation about, her being pregnant at the funeral, because she knew.
This is mom's funeral.
She already knew that, like, hey, I don't even know if I want to keep this. You know what I'm saying? But he pushed, and it was like, well, I'm pregnant, and I don't even know if I want it. Oh, what do you mean? I always imagined us having kids. When was that a conversation?
Byron.
Byron. When was that?
Right. I saw us having kids. When I thought of us having kids. What do you mean, Byron? What do you mean?
And I imagine myself having kids all the time. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want them right now in this moment. Hell no. But I'm not going to sit up here and act like I don't picture myself with 2 or 3 kids and a husband. I do picture it. I do. But it's one thing to picture something, and it's a whole other thing to have that conversation about, like, whether or not that's something that you want. That girl said, I don't even know if I want it. What? You baby, you should have
She's
kept
like,
that to
well, why
yourself.
didn't you tell me? Because it wouldn't make no difference. Hold on. Dogs is under me. Hold on.
It would have, me personally, I feel like when it comes to pregnancy, if you know that you don't want a kid and you know you have not had the discussion about children, I wouldn't, and you get pregnant, that's not something that I would even bring up. Because you run the risk of um you run the risk of bringing it up, and then you have a situation like Byron where he wants it and you don't. At the end of the day, because it's your body, it's going to be your choice. So you're going to be able to say whether or not you want to keep it. But if you have not had that discussion, it doesn't make sense to tell your partner that you're pregnant. Just get rid of it. And just
Yep, I agree.
and just go about life like, nothing ever happened. But it was like there was really no perfect time for me to tell you your mom had died. And then you got these recordings, and these recordings was enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, you found out you had a sister. You found out, that Benny was getting her ass beat for 6 years. You found out that, you had the whole shit with Steve, and it was just a lot going on. So, like, when was I going to tell you that I was pregnant? But with them being together for as long as they had been, I don't understand. Was that not a conversation?
I had said this to Leah. I was like, a lot of people these days are just together. Oh, well, I guess it's because, okay, I've had guys tell me before, like in the past when I was dating, like, oh, you know what it is. No, I don't.
No, I don't.
I need you to really tell me.
I don't
Spell
know
it out.
how you
Put it on
feel
this
till
paper.
you tell me.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people miss having the conversations that are needed to be had because they're just like, oh, we cool and we've been doing this anyways. But what does that mean? They never had that conversation from what it looked like. They just been fucking raw.
I wouldn't say they was just fucking. I would say they were in a relationship.
Hold on, let me finish. I feel like they've had a meaningful conversations. They've had hard conversations. If she can tell him about how she felt when it came to his career, but essentially they had only been having sex and talking about work. Because I thought she was just a regular coworker at first. Hell, at one point I thought they was married. Then we really peel it back, and it's like, I ain't really much of nothing. Y'all just y'all. Like, it was no real substance there from what it seems like.
I feel like, because they never really mentioned how long they had been together. Like we never really got to, at least I didn't anyway. I
think they said like, oh, just all these years we've been together. They kept saying that.
Like they never really came up and said we've been together for this long. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, how do you not have that conversation? The first few dates should have been, that should have came up. There's no way you get pregnant. I don't even know if I wanted that. I don't. You ain't got too much time to figure that out. So I need you to make a decision and make one immediately. But the thing with like Byron and Steve, right? Had Benny just went over there, smashed the painting, and left, he wouldn't have had to. He wouldn't have had to do all that. He wouldn't have had to do that, in my opinion. Why is there so many technical difficulties today? He wouldn't have had to do that, in my opinion. I feel like it just it created a whole bunch of unnecessary drama. I feel like that it didn't have to, because when he came up, he I guess assumed that they were having issues or whatever, but she went over there and broke it off with him.
Yeah,
she went over there. She smashed
up
and she broke it off.
The little statue of her body.
Yeah, but what really set him off was like, you can't come over here and try to be the hero now. Where were you in all this time? And it's like, nigga, how dare you try to make it seem like I purposefully stayed away? I'll beat the fuck out you, dude.
Mm-hmm. As he did.
Like who are you to try and tell me? You know what I'm saying? But like that whole situation, the way that played out, it was crazy, and I just knew he was gonna lose his job because
Hmm.
it was
And maybe in season two, because I don't know if they say this in the book. Maybe in season two they do get into it a little bit more when it comes to the job, because we didn't hear nothing else about the fight.
literally
Nothing.
we heard nothing else. We literally heard nothing else,
And
and that sounds
sometimes
like some shit
books
that you
add
do.
in random shit in to like add fluff to the story. So we don't know.
And what he did, that speech he gave, that sounds like something that you do. When,
Okay, dogs.
let me hurry up. That sounds like something that you do, like when a boss tries to tell you like tries to
Okay.
reprimand you or something like that. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
sounds like something that speech he gave sounds like something that you do when it's like, okay, now I want you to follow through on that threat that you made. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It gives that vibe. And they probably didn't hear anything about it because you remember the state lawyer or whatever
That's right.
got him out and got the charges
Yeah.
dropped. So there wouldn't have been anything for him to hear,
Yeah. So I
for
guess
them
that
to
was
know
them
about.
wrapping it up. They wrapped that up there. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
that's probably why they didn't hear about a fight. Now there was a
Hmm.
video and
Yeah.
Steve dropped the charges too. So,
Hmm.
but it was really, really crazy. I will say at the end of the video, you see a lot of people trying to get back to their roots, trying to get back to the end of the show.
Hmm.
You see them trying to get back to their roots. You see Byron suing the company for discrimination because you discriminated against me, motherfucker. Like you could have gave me that goddamn job. What do you mean? You see Benny getting back to her musical roots. You see, um, only person you really don't see like getting back to
It's
normal is
Bonnie.
Mabel, because her normal is not normal anymore.
Hmm.
Like what she knew as normal is not. I just want to know what happened to your husband.
And what did
And
Cubby say to her in that goddamn recording?
yes, what did she say to you in the recording? What happened to your husband? How did you meet? Was he a black man?
Was he? Because, honey, we have so many questions.
What did your parents? Because her parents kind of give like, yeah, they don't fuck with black folks.
We
You know what I'm
wanted to
saying?
protect you. We wanted to protect
Like,
you.
it gave that. Also,
Yeah.
did you ever go on another date with a dude,
Yeah,
with
these
the
are
white dude?
questions. These
Did
are
you
good
ever do that?
questions.
Um, did you do you still talk to your siblings, your newfound siblings?
Because I
And
think
most
Benny did
people,
say, like, I don't want this to be the last time that we meet. It was her,
yeah,
Byron, Bunny, and then Mabel. She was like, I don't want this right here to end, because this is to us, me and Byron, this is our family now. Like, y'all are a family. And I could see that. And then the last episode, they got to go say their last goodbyes to Covey at the crematorium. I was bawling, y'all. I'm laying there in my bed, 4 or 5 in the morning, bawling. I was just like, this is so sad. Then she handed her grandmother's necklace and put it in her mom's hand so she can touch it one last time. And I was like, oh my God, look at this. Oh,
bro.
so
Listen,
sad.
with Benny, it was a thing of she didn't want it to end because she was like, I'm gonna be alone. You're gonna go back
Yeah.
to your jobs and your families and your careers, and then it's just gonna be me. I don't
This
have anybody.
show was, of course, of 9 days.
Yeah.
9 days.
Yeah. It literally was over the course of like a week and some change.
Yeah.
It's just crazy because, like I said, it touches on so many different things. It touches on acceptance, identity, like trauma, sexual assault and abuse, discrimination, race,
Immigration.
like there's so many different themes, so many different subjects and topics that it touches on
Yeah.
in this show. I looked up the name Black Cake. I looked up what it was. I looked up what it stood for. And it stood for a couple of things I just mentioned, like family and identity and like connection. It's a Caribbean dessert. And it's made, I think, a few different ways, but it's a dessert that they have like at weddings and birthdays, any type of celebration or special occasion, they make black cake.
Yeah.
And it's designed to bring families together. It's designed to like keep everybody, connected and all that type of stuff. So hence why they named the show Black Cake. And if you really watch it, you really get to understand like the
because we've seen it a few times. We've seen the Black Cake a few times, but I think we've said all we can say. I think if you have gotten this far and you was like, okay, maybe I need to go watch this, honey, you should have already clicked on and watched it. If they came back and watched the rest of this. Because 2023, there's no other show that I can watch in these last couple of weeks that's going to top that. Like, I've been currently simultaneously watching Rapish on HBO Max, or Max rather, and that ain't doing it for me. This show,
I've been watching Potomac, and they got a tired storyline that I'm waiting for them to die down.
That's crazy.
I've also been watching Found, and I've been watching The Irrational. Those are two really good shows on NBC. If y'all ain't watching them, go watch them. Black people, we love it. But yeah, we've kind of said all that we can remember to say. I feel like there's a lot that we could really talk about, but we'd be here all day. If you have not watched Black Cake, okay, it's on Hulu. If you don't have Hulu,
get it. It's only $5. You got it.
Go pirate it. If you don't want to pay that $7, some folks probably ain't got $7 to give, and that's all right. That's all right. We not knocking you. I understand, but go watch this show. Oprah is a producer on it.
I didn't even know. A couple
other people that's a producer on it. So like, go watch it. Watch it. It is incredible. It is amazing, and you're gonna be just as like pissed off as we was. It's like, what the fuck? Only difference is with y'all, because you're gonna binge it, so you're not gonna have to wait 7 full days. Like
that was the longest day.
You're not gonna have to. Only thing you're gonna have to do when you finish it, you're gonna have to wait and see if it's gonna get renewed.
Yeah, and as of right now, they said there hasn't been air date for season 2, but with the way that season 1 was premiered and everyone's like loving it and it had so much good ratings, I'm pretty sure Hulu's going to give us
I'm gonna need for them to go and get that fixed like immediately. What? Immediately?
That's when we were horizontal.
Like, Lord, she said horizontal. What did she say? It wasn't horizontal. It was like horizontals. What the fuck is that? Wow. Anyways, y'all, thank y'all so much for watching this stream. Like I said, go watch Black Cake if you haven't. The acting is phenomenal. Baby, they acted their ass off in the show. Okay, if you ain't watched it, go watch it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already.
You know the outro say all that.
Yeah, I'm still subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're gonna be back with new episodes, I think, in January. So just be on the lookout for all of that. And
we'll give y'all streams to them.
Thank you for watching the Two Real Chicks podcast. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to our channel and press the bell so that you don't miss a single upload. We're always interested in hearing what you think, so be sure to leave your comments and thoughts on this week's episode in the comments below. We'll see you next time.